The Toronto Raptors just suffered one of their most soul-crushing losses in recent memory, giving up 127 points to the 2-9 Detroit Pistons. So in today's video, we explore how the Raptors are often their worst enemy, and that was very apparent last night. Let's get into it. Welcome NBA and Raptors fans. This is Amateur Hour Sports, your source for everything Raptors related. We do Raptors news coverage, mock trade breakdowns, game recaps, and so much more. So if you like the Toronto Raptors and you enjoy the content, then make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this. We give you 4+ Raptors videos every single week, and you can help us on our road to 8,000 subscribers. We're getting very close to 7,500. Please help us get there. But the Raptors yesterday, unfortunately, we do have to talk about that game in today's video. The Raptors suffer an absolutely brutal, crushing loss, losing 127 to 121 to the Detroit Pistons. Yes, the Pistons come to this one with a 2-9 record. The Raptors were at home behind their home crowd who was rocking all night. And the Pistons coming into this one were shooting 39% from the field and 28% from three. That puts them on pace to be the worst offensive team in over 60 years. But they come into this one and were absolutely lights out from the field and basically lights out from three. And the reason they were so good on offense is because, well, the Raptors simply allowed them to be great on offense. So we're going to break down in today's video again how the Raptors are their own worst nightmare, how the Raptors are sometimes the constructor of their demise, because it was very apparent in this one that was the case. Let's touch briefly on the offensive side of the game. The Raptors were amazing on offense. Wow, we were creating so many good opportunities. We're getting so many of our shots down. Pascal Siakam was excellent with 25 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. The Raptors offensively, there's nothing to complain about. It was simply sensational. 121 points. That's very good, but enough of the positives. Let's get into the negatives, because that's pretty much what the rest of the game is going to count for. Because the Raptors, well, offensively, all those stats are good, but from the free throw department, the Raptors missed a ton of free throws. I, as well as many of you, often are critical of the NBA officials for not giving the Raptors the free throws they deserve. Well, that didn't happen yesterday. We had 31 free throw attempts. That's fantastic. That's way more than we normally get. We only hit 20 of our free throws. If we actually hit a proper amount of our free throws, well, we're not even in any sort of discussion about losing this game, because we're way ahead and the Raptors will finish off the deal. But no, that keeps the Detroit Pistons in it. That along with the defense. So now we're really getting into the negatives, because the defense was absolutely diabolical from the Raptors in this game. Oh my goodness. We have done so much and worked so hard to construct this roster of outstanding ISO defenders, outstanding 1v1 defenders. OG Anunoby is arguably the best on-ball defender in the NBA. Scotty Barnes is one of the best defenders coming out of the draft and already a very good and serviceable NBA defender, especially 1v1 and ISO. Siakam, also a great ISO 1v1 defender, and the list goes on. The Raptors have constructed a lineup of these athletic freaks with so much length and great defensive ability that they can guard 1v1. They can guard any position. But they refuse to trust their players to play defense. The amount of over-switching the Raptors were caught doing was unbelievable, especially in late game situations when the Detroit Pistons had exposed the overhelping the entire game, freeing up three-point opportunity after three-point opportunity. The Detroit Pistons came into this one again with that sub-40 shooting percentage and that sub-30 three-point percentage. Yet they were sensational from their percentages in this game, because the Raptors did not stop them from getting open looks. If Jeremy Grant wanted to get a layup, well, he basically got a layup every time. On the perimeter, we overhelped like crazy. But when we had to actually provide help defense at the rim, it was not forthcoming on many occasions. So many of these usually useless Detroit Pistons players like Josh Jackson and Frank Jackson off the bench combined for 29 points. I believe they finished with 44 bench points in this game. These are not players that should be running the Toronto Raptors off the floor, but they continue to do it. They continue to do it. And in the clutch, it was even more apparent. Killian Hayes had back-to-back corner threes on back-to-back possessions from the exact same spot. And he hit both, and we didn't learn. Jeremy Grant also late on in the clutch of this game had 2 wing threes on back-to-back possessions that were wide open, and he hit Both. It's like we have a complete and utter inability to adapt to what the Detroit Pistons are doing. I remember in the third quarter, oh my God, there were 3 straight possessions that turned in either an open layup or an open dunk for Isaiah Stewart. You want to talk about the Raptors not having enough size to deal with it? Isaiah Stewart isn't even big either. So the fact that he was able to bully us on the interior throughout the game, I mean, there's no excuse even though Achua was out. Like, we had Ken Burch back, and we have guys capable of guarding a person of Isaiah Stewart's size. We did not adapt to anything. And in late game situations, Detroit Pistons continued to exploit everything they had exploited throughout the entire game. The 2-9 Detroit Pistons, the historically bad offensive Detroit Pistons, who a day before the game against the Raptors, they were on the second night of a back-to-back. And the first night of that back-to-back, they managed 78 points in the entire game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. How they went from 78 to 127 in the space of a night against one of what we claim to be the best defensive teams in the NBA, in the Toronto Raptors. They went up almost 50 points from the night before. How do you not adapt to what they're trying to do offensively? The reason that we struggled so much is because of it's our own fault. Sure, there were some situations late game where Cade 1v1 did his thing to get those clutch daggers over OG Anunoby late. Those are going to happen, but they don't happen often enough for you to switch constantly. Over switch, over help. Why are you trying to double with OG Anunoby on the perimeter? That's OG Anunoby. Let him do his thing. We know how good he is defensively. Let OG Anunoby be the defender that he is. Let him do his job. And, sometimes you're just going to allow bucket. But why would you sacrifice a tough make over OG? Why would you, that's going to happen. Let the guy hit a tough shot over to OG rather than allowing a wide open 3 for Jeremy Grant or Killian Hayes or Josh Jackson all throughout the game. It doesn't make any sense. And what even makes less sense than that is the Raptors reverting to a zone defense out of a timeout in the clutch of the game. What are we trying to do on defense? I know I keep saying on this channel, it's just one game. Okay, we'll be better next game. But things like this, these are things that just should never happen to this team. That is something that should never happen. It shouldn't even come down to this. And it's the Detroit Pistons we're talking about here. It's not the Boston Celtics as much as they struggled. Because so many things went wrong in this game that are just so easily recognizable for anybody watching the game. And I can't believe that the Raptors players, Raptors coaches, Nick Nurse did not figure this out. Detroit absolutely exposed us for these over-helping rotations throughout the entire game, and we never bothered to make an adjustment. The fact that the Pistons had 60 points at halftime, maybe that was an indication that things weren't going right, but no adjustments were made. Again, I know Fred VanVleet wasn't here, but Siakam going in the press conference after the game saying, oh, we needed Fred VanVleet for this game. You need Fred VanVleet to beat the worst team in the NBA or one of the worst teams in the NBA? Is that the message you're really trying to send, that you needed one extra player to beat this team, the Detroit Pistons? Dwayne Casey always treats these games against the Raptors like his championship game because Dwayne Casey can never get to a championship game. So we have to treat these little ones like that. And he's going to do it. And he's out coaching the hell out of Nick Nurse every time I see the Raptors play the Detroit Pistons. It happened last season as well. The Pistons absolutely rinsed us in every single game we played against them. But this year is supposed to be different. This year, the Raptors are playing in their actual home behind a home crowd, a sold out home crowd, might I add, who have to pay horrible amounts of money to go see these Toronto Raptors games. And you give them that sort of performance on the court, all of this could have been fixed. The Detroit Pistons, they're bad enough that all of this could have been fixed by just simply hitting free throws. But why was there even a game to be had near the end where the Pistons could run out like this? Because it came down in the end to some big buckets by Cade Cunningham. But the amount of wide open threes and wide open shots in the interior that we continue to give up by over-helping, by over-committing, and not trusting the teammates to finish and do the job in their 1v1 checks on defense. Why are we reverting to a zone defense when we don't have an interior defender, a real rim protector on this team? It's very apparent we still don't have that. And I've been saying this all season. The Raptors now fall to 7-7 and go on a big road trip. They have a West Coast road trip with 5 straight West Coast games and then a 6th road game against the Indiana Pacers. 6 road games in a row. Now, well, we're 5-1 away from home, so what does it even matter? We're 2-6 at home, so it's better to play away games. Well, it's still tough to play those road games, and I would much rather play a home game. Even with the information I have, I would much rather be playing at home. It's going to be a tough stretch, especially when you're going into the next game with the mindset, wow, we just lost to Detroit Pistons. So what the Raptors need to do is go through the tape. Can you understand that you don't need to help OG Anunoby? You don't need to help Scottie Barnes. You don't need to help Pascal Siakam 1v1 on the perimeter. Let them do their job. You do not need to overhelp. You do not need to leave a man open because you feel like you need to double that first player, that initial ball handler. That just doesn't need to happen. Watch the tape, analyze that. Analyze, I don't want to ever see this team play a zone defense out of a timeout again. I really don't want to see them play a zone defense virtually ever. I just don't want to see it. This team is not built for that. It is built for man-to-man. It's not built for zone. I don't understand why we have to revert to that. Understand all these things, box out on defense, and get on the phone with somebody to pick up a rim protector. My goodness. Overall, this game stinks. It's embarrassing. And I am the one to tell you not to overreact to one game, but I don't think there's any choice but to react quite harshly and heavily to this game. It was embarrassing to watch this game as a Raptors fan. I can't imagine how embarrassing it was as the players to go out and lose to this Detroit Pistons team, this historically bad Detroit Pistons teams, for so many things that could have been corrected over the course of the 48 minutes that were not adjusted. The amount of open threes and open looks on the inside that we gave up to the Detroit Pistons is unbelievable. It is unbelievable how bad the Toronto Raptors looked on defense in this one. It was embarrassingly bad. Nick Nurse, big time to blame for this performance. A lot of the individual players, big time to blame for this performance. I'm going to think about this game like a season from now. Oh, remember that game against the Pistons? I try to forget, but I simply can't. The Raptors need to bounce back, fix the defensive strategies, trust the good defenders on your team to play, I don't know, defense against inferior opposition. What happens when we play against a good team? They're going to abuse the weak side corner threes like the Pistons have, like the Celtics have. It's just going to continue to happen. Things need to be adjusted. Nick Nurse, make it happen. I've not lost faith in him as a coach at all, but he needs to fix it up. So guys, let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please give a like if you did enjoy my rant and my real thoughts about how the Raptors played in this game. Hope you can understand. I love this team, but that was bad. Please also subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy and you want to see more videos just like this. We do game recaps for pretty much every game, plus we do some extra stuff like some mock trades, and we do some analysis on recent Raptors news. Check our other channels as well. My Raptors 9 to 5 vlog is here. The immediate post-game show for the game is down here, and I'll see you again next time for another video.